Spence Graham, chairman of the Digital Signage Federation, and you're watching and listening to the AV Life.
Greetings from Kansas City. It's Renee at AV Renee KC. You are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey, this is Murphy Daly coming to you from Los Angeles, California. I'm a project manager and AV veteran, and you're joining us for the AV Life.
Hey, it's James here, writer for the Higher Ed AV Digital Magazine, the IT and AV column, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert at the AV Life Pod, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life. All right. Well, good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you've chimed in to listen to us here at the AV Life. We are back. We took the week off for the 4th of July weekend. Did everyone have a good long weekend? We're doing good?
Oh yeah,
We're hanging in there. We got a lot of work done.
Got a lot of work done. Good.
Yeah.
a lot of fun done.
Yeah. It was nice having the night off. So in a way, I missed all you guys though. Like this is like part of my weekly routine. Like this makes my week part, in part. So it's I get to hang out with all of you and do our AV Life thing. So all right. Well, and before we get too far deep
in a while. So we got Spence and Joe.
Yeah.
And as I was just about to introduce him, he's taking a guest role tonight because I don't know, I felt like punishing him, or maybe he's gonna punish us by doing this. But Mr. Joe Way, Dr. Joe Way.
Right. Make sure you get that doctor in there, sir. This is very important. Thanks for having me on the show. I feel like I'm in the dunce corner as everybody introduced themselves. And I'm like, I was the last one picked in the soccer game. And there we go. And now, but actually I'm not the last one picked in the soccer game because somebody else is here. So I'm going to take over host roles.
Wait, no. Hold on, stop. All right, this is my show. I'm cracking the whip. This is my show. Welcome to the crew member, Nancy Blanchard. Nancy, hi. Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
And I'm putting my foot down, Joe. This is my show.
Look at that. You're growing up. You're growing up.
It's time. It's summertime. It's time for me to.
That is the Vixa shirt. I've got my Infocom shirt on.
Oh, you see, yeah. I'm excited. I was just saying, I'm getting all pumped for Infocom and. Trying to get my my ducks in order to do that. So
I was going to go shirtless, but no one wants to see my B cups.
Well, you know what though, Joe? You've come a long way, and I do have to applaud you. You've done a great job with what. Yeah, you look amazing. You're doing great, and so you should be proud of how far you've come.
It does feel good. I thought when you said I've come a long way, I thought you were excited that I haven't been here in like 5 weeks. You're doing so good on this show by not showing up all the time. The show's gotten so good without you here.
Well, that also shows that we could, manage without you. We do okay. It's fun having you here, though. I'm not gonna deny that. So.
They have been some incredible episodes the last few weeks. They've made my weeks every time I listen and hear it on Monday mornings. So thank you.
Yeah, it was really weird on Sunday night not editing the episode and doing all the stuff I needed to for that. So it throws off everything when I don't have the podcast. So so Joe is taking a guest role tonight. So we do have a little bit of I guess you could say breaking news. It's not related to AV, but it is breaking news from an article that James sent out to us just before we got started. So
Oh my goodness.
breaking news. All right, James, it's your article, so I'm going to let you go ahead and break the news.
So as of this recording, 5 hours and 26 minutes ago, the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which was postponed because of coronavirus, will be happening in 2021, but with no fans in the stands.
Mm-hmm. No fans in the stands. It's like having football games like here in the States, just
Yeah.
empty stadiums.
Piping
except for-
in the noise made me nuts. I did that for WVU this year for football and basketball. Piping in crowd noise. That's not audio.
Wow.
That's
now,
not.
and the article states that only 15%, James, of Tokyo's population or Japan's population is vaccinated. So they're falling behind.
How much? What was the statistic?
It was
15%.
15%, where the United States is 47%, UK is 50%. Japan has 814,314 cases and 14,865 deaths due to coronavirus since the beginning of the pandemic as of Thursday.
The UK, we're at 47% in the US, and the UK is at 50%?
That's according to
they
this
were
article.
so far behind. So if they're at 50%, that means both other people got vaccinated, like the 4 that live there?
Yeah, this is fully vaccinated. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I know like some states, and there was an article I saw today that here in the States that places like California, New York, New Jersey, like East Coast places are doing very well when it comes to vaccinations. And because of that, their death rates are low. I think Jersey had their first day in almost a year without a COVID related death. So that was, that's a huge mile marker for us. Excuse me.
They just died from drinking the water and living there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or dealing with traffic.
Yeah. Well, here's the frustrating part, though, is that there's all these lists, the green list, the amber list, etc. So the UK cannot fly to the US. They're not allowing it. Thought that, with Biden going over there with the G7 summit, is that, perhaps they would have chatted. I'm now reading that Canada is looking at opening up sooner. So I guess also the question is, if they're not going to open up the UK and allow for people to fly here, what's going to happen with Infocom or NEB?
Yeah.
Nobody will be able to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
it's going to be just purely domestic people. Yeah. So
let me tell you something. If that happens, you're going to see a bunch of places go bankrupt.
Yeah.
We've already seen that happen. That trick happened before.
Yes, we have.
So we'll have to see.
I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of people show up who you don't think will be there, even though I know registrations are down. But I think it's because we're in an interesting place where we're not sure yet of exactly what's going to happen. People are having to put approvals in, and they're having to ask for the time off. They're not sure if their companies are going to pay or their institutions are going to pay. So they're still weeding it out, and they're all on summer vacation being like, I don't want to deal with it right now. Yeah. So I think that we're going to see a later boom than we normally would have seen. So I don't think we can let the numbers in the low registrations mean anything yet.
Joe says have faith.
Have faith.
Have faith.
Gotta have faith.
I completely agree, because I think normal years you're planning things out so many months in advance. You've got your hotel, you've got your booth space, you've got everything. And now it's kind of like, oh, we got to get permission. How many of us are going to be there? There's so many more factors, and a lot of people are just starting to make those decisions. And it's going to be August in a second. So I think he's right. I think we're going to see a lot of registration happening probably probably mid-September. I would say we're still going to register.
Well, and I could say from a higher ed's perspective, at least for Rutgers, is that a lot of people have been taking their vacation time because they had to use it by the end of the fiscal year for Rutgers. So if you didn't use and whatever you were going to be over to carry over to next year, so a lot of people were taking that vacation time at the end of June, leading into the beginning of July for the start of the new fiscal year. So even like over these last couple of days, people are still straggling back into campus. So yeah, I think you're going to see a spike probably in the next month of maybe higher ed folk as we get back into the swing of things and start prepping for September. And as the wheels start turning a little bit more, I think, you're going to see more of that.
Okay, so this is what's happening. We've got this big push, like people like, oh, it's open up now. And so we got to like actually do the stuff. Right. So there's all this, like what's happening, and people are pushing, like just getting vacations done. But there's like, okay, hurry up now. We've got summer. We've got, all this business of people opening. I mean, in California, June 15th was a big deal that we could actually move about the state, right? So these moments. And then this thing that's happening all the way at the end of October, we'll get there, let's wait a minute before we kind of know what this month is doing and what August is doing. And then we're like, all right, then people sign up.
So actually, you know what? This is interesting. I think I'm going to segue. I'm going to call an audible on this. Earlier this year, we did an episode about bold predictions for 2021. If we all remember that episode, I'm sure we do. But I kind of want to revisit that, because when James and I were on with Joe on his podcast, we like reevaluated some of the things that we were talking about. And I think things have changed a lot in the last 6 or 7 months, that those predictions that we made aren't 100% accurate to where we are now. So does anybody have any new predictions? Like, what do you think is gonna, like, what for AV world, for anything, what do you think what's the second half of the year? What's the second half going to look like? Are we going to come out? Are we coming out of the locker room ready to go? Is this, are we just going to get doused with Gatorade at the end here, or what's, or are we going to trip and fall short on at the 1 yard line? I'm ready for football, by the way.
We better all have our running shoes on, because all of a sudden every event has been rescheduled and planned, and people are ready to get out.
Yeah.
Employers are ready to get their people back out. And now it's like, you're almost bothering people if you're trying to get an appointment with them, like the older, because somebody even posted on Twitter the other day that said, is there like is there like a quota for salespeople getting meetings the next couple of weeks? It's like, no, but you're getting permission. And so everybody wants out. But at the same time, I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of chasing product around, and when am I going to get product in my customers' hands? And that's turned into a complete disaster. And I don't think that part's going to get any better for us for a while. And there are some manufacturers doing better than others, but as far as the getting out, I think if we can get out, we're going to try. I'm going to tell you right now. I mean,
well, I'm going to say we're planning from our board standpoint. We've got we're planning New York Digital Signage Week, Coffee and Controversy, the gig that we always do. We've got we're planning on, I think, being in Atlanta in December for kind of a meet and greet type of situation. With Minneapolis, St. Paul, we're doing on a regional basis with the folks up there. So, I mean, we're planning on doing some things. The question is, what's that engagement factor? It's one thing for us to do something. It's another thing, are we going to get people engaged enough to do it? I think there's a lot of pent up demand. There's no doubt about that. It's just a question of whether we can pull it off.
I gotta go.
I mean, we're all like that. We're all like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, they're doing a New York Auto Show in person this year. I got a buddy of mine who is like, he works for one of the companies. What?
New York? They don't even drive.
They like to look at the cars. It's pretty.
Okay.
They're pretty.
Art. Okay.
Yeah.
So is a New York Auto Show just a bunch of yellow cabs lined up?
Yeah.
Outside the Jacob Javits Center. Yeah. So yellow taxi cabs and Uber drivers all right there. So, my buddy works for one of those companies that does all the booth setups and things like that. Like, that's what he does. And he's finally getting back to work. He's been out of work for 15 months, 16 months. So, and they're finally bringing him back. And that's the first show that they're doing, is the auto show. So I looked online on the website and things like that just to see, but yeah, I think there's gonna be a huge demand for that. I think it's already a very popular show, and it's gonna go ridiculously, I'm sure.
Wow.
Sorry, any other predictions for this upcoming year? Joe, what do you got for us? I know you've said it on your show, but
Well, first, let me just say I told you so, because my bold prediction from a while back is coming true. So we are coming back. We are going to be back. And all we want to do is bro and sister hug everybody. And that's what's going to make all of this successful. Now, I understand there's a Delta variant. I understand there's all these other things.
A Lambda variant too.
But,
yeah.
But the fact is, we ain't going to go back. We ain't going backwards. We're all coming back. We're all going to show up in person. We're all going to find a way to get there. We're all going to find a way to see one another. And that's what's going to happen. So we ain't going to be in because someone on my show throughout the years 2022, which is
2023.
2023. Okay, we had a 2022 and a 2023. And I'm still going for 2021 so I've already been to 2 in-person conferences. By the end of the year, I will be at 4 in-person conferences. 4 more. So that's 6 that I know of. And I might be invited to, speak or whatever. Like, the fact is we're opening back up because we need to open up. Because as Aristotle noted, that humans are social animals. There's only so long you can keep us away from one another. And we know that, yes, there could be other COVID factors. The fact is, get my hands going here. The fact is that mental health has deteriorated. Our lives at home and all that, our family life, all those things that come from actually going to work. And the thing is what you recognize is that leaving your family for the day is actually good for your family. You don't know that, but it's true, right? Finding those other social connections, those outlets, so going to work and going on conferences isn't just about getting back to normal or getting our economy back, even though those are very important aspects. It's actually part of the human condition to go to work, to appear with one another, to create these various social bonds. And I think what we're seeing is that people are coming back and really wanting to do that. And we're seeing it here in California. When we open back up, we've had no spike. Everyone that's opened up, for the most part, hasn't had another spike, right? And so therefore, I don't see... I think it's only going to pick up. It's a stone rolling downhill. It's going. We're picking up speed. We're picking up momentum. And I will tell you, how about a bold prediction? Bold prediction.
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
InfoComm 2021 will have 31,000 attendees. 31,000. I picked a number that will be easier, but 31,000. I don't know why, because 31 doesn't mean anything to me. But
42.
Well, because they normally get 40, because ISC gets about 75. So I'm going 31. That's really
31?
bold.
Okay.
That's only
I think
down
so, yeah.
25%.
You heard it here.
You heard it here first.
31,000 attendees at InfoComm.
All right.
Wow, did you know,
right, so that's
Nancy, did you know that I'm Estonian?
No.
Yeah, how rad
Are you
is that
really?
background? I'm
I
actually
visited
Estonian.
there. Yeah, I had visited Estonia on a
It's Italian, obviously, probably.
Oh, Joe, I love your rename there on your screen.
I told you. Yep. And you know what? And I will say that my January 2023 prediction date is definitely off. Now, when I said that, though, I will say that things were different here in Jersey. And that's what I stood by when it was the Clubhouse recording on your show that I sprung out with that date. And I retract that date because, and here's why, because with the mask mandate for for lack of a better term, has basically been lifted here in New Jersey. It's up to the individual, as long as you're vaccinated and as long as the place that you're at is okay with you not wearing a mask, you can not wear a mask. And I've started to not wear my mask places. Like it was, at first I didn't quite do it, but now like it's becoming easier, and it's easy to slip right back into not wearing one. So I think overall, I think we will be, sorry, I'm reading the chat again. I can't do that. I cannot do that.
See, and you thought that you thought you gained your hosting skills. You can't multitask like that and keep talking.
No, I
while
can't.
reading the chats and stuff. Wow.
It's easily distracted.
See, I know.
It's the cross I bear. I can't multitask like that.
So let me show you.
Like
So
shiny
what you have
object.
to do-
It's like,
So the Twitter has to be on your left side because the chat shows up on the right. So you have to do the random glance. So you got both at the same time. And you sit back enough that you see everything in the peripheral. It's all good. You just wait for movement on one or the other.
well, and that's what happened. I have the chat and my peripheral on the right-hand side here, and then it flashed, and I looked, and then I saw things are different here in Jersey from Joe Way. And yeah, they are different here in this state. Yeah, so and Twitter, I've put that away. I don't look at Twitter until after we're done here. So that's
But
just
show
too
of
much.
hands. How many people on this call are going to be at InfoCom?
My plan
Well, I
is.
registered. We'll see if I can actually.
Okay, so that was 100%,
Yep.
Yep.
right? Spence, did you raise your hand? You raised your hand. right?
My plan is to be there.
All right, so my 31,000 isn't that crazy. That 100% of this call just raised their hand.
Only
And I was on a call earlier, and 100% of that call did.
1,000,
So
31,000.
994 more to go.
the
Now,
only thing
The safer bet might be to say $1, but I'm going with my 31,000.
so the only wrench in your plan there, Joe, is one of the 100% on this call is myself. This was going to be my first InfoCom. Last 2019 was going to be my first InfoCom. And as Tim Albright mentioned, it's my fault we didn't have it because of COVID. That was all my fault. Now this one's happening. I'm going down, but will it be canceled because I'm going?
In no way it's being
No.
canceled.
Oh,
Won't be
The
no,
canceled.
fact is, you're going.
You're not going to
Yeah.
get the blame this year, James.
And this is my
That there's initiation for these newbies, right?
I was gonna say, and this is my first one too. So I've only vicariously attended through podcasts and like Michelle Retz podcasting for Corey back in the day and stuff like that. So I've never actually physically been to InfoCom. So
Nor I.
Oh, really?
Wow.
We have a whole bunch of newbies, Joe.
Yep.
Well, we're going to have to show them a good time. When
Fresh
you
blood.
arriving? We got
I'm
some
coming
good time.
Monday afternoon. Hotel
co-
and plane are already booked.
All right. Hopefully I'll be sober by then.
Hey.
and after I
I'm
book,
arriving Friday. I'm coming in Friday. That's how early I get my
Jeez,
stuff rolled.
please.
wow.
Because you know who the fun people are? The fun people are the guys setting up the booths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Oh
are the
yeah.
fun people.
Oh yeah.
They know how to relieve stress at night. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm in a weird predicament. I couldn't wait to go, and now my grandbaby is due October 30th.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, that's
And
tough.
she went a week early with the first baby, so I'm like, oh man.
Uh-huh.
So it might be that I'm not there, not because I don't want to be there, but because I'm watching a grandbaby be born. So dang.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. So I'm flying in Tuesday. Well, I have to book my flight still, but if I get the flight I want, I'm flying in Tuesday morning and I'm flying out Saturday morning. So I'll be there for those days. And yeah, I need to make sure I'm back for Halloween. Like that's like I can't miss that when
You'll be able to pick out a good costume for Halloween. Trust me, when you're there.
Well, yeah. Well, so, and the thing is, like, I can't get there any earlier because I'm literally getting back from Orlando on October 20th. So I'm getting back to New Jersey, working for like 3.5 days, and then getting on a plane and going back. So
Crazy.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be all Florida. At least the first part, I'm with my wife and son. I'll be away from them for the 4 days for Infocom, but so. We're gonna do Infocom backgrounds now too. Okay, hold on. Where's my
Infocom backgrounds?
So now that we're at a pause, my friend.
Yes,
I think we ought to do the PM minute.
I think so too.
What a
Yes.
great idea.
What a segue.
Okay.
Got your
I
back,
have been
baby.
working, my friends, I have been working on the book. I'm creating the book. Working title is AV Project Management. I am 60 pages in. And right now I'm working on the chapter about setting up the project and creating meeting agendas. So that's kind of smearing together. So I'm having to put it all together. So that is the report on what I'm doing. I do look forward to giving this work to the AV community so that we can all have a reference book and know very tactically what to do with projects. Okay. But for the PM minute tonight, that's like a whole PM year's worth of information, but this is just a minute. Okay. So I want to bring up that I'm going to say, set up your team for success. The project team all is working towards the same goal, right? And give each team member what they need to be successful. And also when they come back and ask for help, give it. Be right there. Have you ever had one of those emails where somebody asks, I've definitely had this. Someone has asked me for information that I already gave them. That's frustrating. And it's very tempting to be like, hey, I sent that. But that's not setting them up for success. They asked me something, I can give it to them. I have it right here. Here you go again. I can remind them, hey, I did send this to you before. Here it is again. But if you want it again, here you go. One of the other things I do with my meeting minutes is all the people that are on that are on the call. We have all the things, and I make I have my agenda, make the notes, and at the end I give them a copy of the notes, a PDF or whatever document, paste it attached to the reply email saying this is what we decided. But out of that message, I copy out all the action items. There's a whole lot of information, but the action items are really relevant. So I take out the action items and paste it in to the email so that the people, if they want to reference what it is they need to do, they don't have to click and open the notes that I took. It's in the email so they can reference it really quickly. Oh yeah, I have that action item that's due. So it's really quick, setting them up for success. Anything I can do to help my team have what they need at the moment that they are free to do that thing that I need them to do, I want to provide that for them. So this is a really good idea for the team. Set them up for success, give them what they need, even if you have to give it twice, because that's what they need. We're all trying to do this.
I will say so we've been dabbling more with Microsoft Project lately, and it's been nice because it's a central repository and it goes across, I could share across other groups and things like that. So it's not like we have one system that is based on our website, and it was developed by our application developer, and it's great for basic things. But when we're trying to work with multiple organizations within Rutgers, it's just a lot easier to have something like MS Projects there, because I could drop wiring diagrams and cut sheets on product and have everything in a central repository. So that way, no matter what is asked, I can redirect, I can direct whatever I need to do, and send emails and remind people about things. So yeah, if they need the reminders, constant updates, it's fine. I'll do it.
That's good.
So,
you got the point. Yes.
It's been and it's been nice. It's been really helpful, especially when right now, with crunch time of getting, James did actually on the the higher ed AVIT group, he had asked how everyone was doing, and a lot of us are in the same spot right now. Like we've placed our orders and we're waiting on product. So, anything we could do to be ready. And in the meantime, that's what we're trying to do. We're doing as much planning and prep pre-prep work as we can. So
that's a lot of that's one of the ninja moves for project management is like, okay, we're waiting on this. What other things can we do in the meantime to save the time right now, to have something to do, anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I've got a project manager right now who's just freaking awesome, who's working on one of my video walls, and product is at the port, at the port. And so
You mean to run
getting
down
out of the
street?
port.
The port's right over here. I can go get it for you.
if you would do that and drive that down to the University of Missouri, that would be awesome, because we're delaying, and our project manager comes in and, have you thought about dust and this? Have you thought about this? And just throwing in some last minute things that the integrator can kind of maybe didn't think of. It was kind of like, and that project manager is on their toes with some ideas that to fill in the time to help with the frustration of what none of us can control, right? So
I just got it's so funny. So I had my new project manager, I have my first AV project manager. Woo, started today.
Hey.
Do you want a fun fact? He's been on the AV Life before. How about that for a fun fact?
That is a fun
Should have
fact.
brought him on. Should have invited him on.
Yeah, bring him.
Yeah. So there we go. That's all I had to say.
Well, that's for future. That's for future.
Project manager, because I'm so tired of our project management up to now has been whatever people can remember in their head and whatever email they can find. That's it's amazing that we did so well with that as our plan, but
pure force of will, just
Mhm.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you, Murphy. That was very nicely done, as always. Unless there's any other points that need to be brought up to that. I don't want to cut anybody off if anybody had anything else to share. So, okay. All right. So since, we were already talking about Jersey, so here in New Jersey, and this kind of goes through, this is just a general education kind of thing. And also it's also COVID related, but I feel like everything that even though we say we don't want to really talk about it, everything in some way touches upon COVID right now. It's so integrated into our lives that there's no avoiding it. Here in New Jersey, the governor signed a bill that enables parents of kindergartners through 8th graders that they can be asked to be held back a year if they feel that they did not make the appropriate progress during the last school year because of all the virtual and hybrid and in and out of school, and depending on your school district. I think there was one school in the whole state that went the entire time in person, and it was like a small private school, I think in South Jersey or something like that. So I don't know exactly, but so it's kind of firing range, but we're not quite there yet. We got another one for firing range, but is it up to the parents? Is this a good idea? Like, should this have just come straight from the teachers? Now, you do have to meet with the teachers and the principal to get to decide if it's going to happen. And then the superintendent basically has the final say. So there is structure in place, but do we think this was called for? And I kind of wish Kim was here because, she's got
She
kids
would have
that,
a good point of it.
yeah. And I mean, I have my own experience as well. Like my son, I will say he did very well this year. Even being home, was it stressful on myself and my wife? Yes, it was, but he did very well this year. Like he did great as a kindergartner. I mean, James, I don't know what your experience was. I know we've kind of talked about it, but what was now that the school year is done, what was the general feeling for the school year this year?
I felt my girls did well. I mean,
How old are they?
11 and 9.
So they're
fifth
deep into
grade
school at this
and
point.
yeah. They were doing remote. And then probably halfway for the year when they could go back, they decided they wanted to go back. We didn't force them. They wanted to go back. And they did well in that as well. So I mean, it's a little touchy subject with me right now because not trying to get any political or anything, but just recently I know they're talking about adding earlier school years and adding 2 college years and extend it as free education so it can compete with the 21st century. That is not solving the problem. We need to fix the material, the content, not extend, because if you extend poor content, you're not improving the skills. But yeah, I think
Just
so.
more of not good enough is not
Well,
enough.
I don't think our education system is good enough.
Mm.
I
Well,
don't.
what's the old term? Garbage in, garbage out. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it means more. That just means more garbage in. So
I just would look at it, and again, it's been a long time since I had a kid in grade school. Let's put it that way. However, she is already starting to homeschool. She's got he'll be 5, and we got another, and it's going to be 3, and then an infant, but as a grandkid. But I'm all for parents being engaged in their children's education. I think that's key to good education is parental involvement. I do worry that how politics, James kind of alluded, kind of tends to creep into some of these things. I think parents have the best knowledge of what's best for their kid. Some of the articles that I've read, and I don't know, you all may have more of a perspective there, but the fact that those children miss that so much of that social interaction, which is so key to developing relationships and how to deal with that. I just wonder if holding somebody back that could potentially disrupt a lot of those relationships that had already formed. I just worry sometimes about that psychological thing. I can remember I was in grade school in the 60s, okay, but I know what that term holding back or flunking meant back then. And it was a very negative type of connotation. And it almost in some ways kind of pigeonholed kids that were either held back for that and stigmatized in some way. I just worry about some of that. I mean, I don't know how to process it. I will say this. I don't envy you all where you are right now.
Hold your thought, Murphy. Go ahead, Joe.
All right.
You also raised your hand. So since we're talking about
school. I raised my hand. I hate to be a voice of reason in this whole debate, but allow me to do so. I know. We hold kids back because they had, life situations that maybe happened that stopped them from learning alongside of everybody else, or other disabilities that maybe made it so they couldn't keep up with their class. Does everyone realize that every student went through the same thing this year? Everyone went through this strange online. And so every student is going to come back and have to then be readapted to how to learn in a classroom environment. Everybody is in the same boat. Yes, there's material that may have been lost, but what we're going to see is that it's going to require teachers this year to just understand that the incoming grade may have a little extra catching up to do, which you normally start the school year doing anyway, right? And therefore, that teacher will just have to be more adaptable to figure out where do they need to get by June. Okay, what's important by June? Don't worry in August how everybody is. Just figure where do you need to be by June. Understand everyone went through this weird year and a half of whatever, and adjust your curriculum and your way to teach and your, and figure out how they're learning and get them there. Everyone was in the same boat. Every student. So it's not like every student was in class and the one random one had to stay home. So all we're doing is taking a special situation and having to move them forward. So the holding back, I don't agree with at all.
Right.
Because yes.
Does that create a ripple effect in the future, I wonder?
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're not with your peers, your classmates.
Right. Especially
also-
imagine being in 8th grade and then being told, by the way, you're going to repeat 8th grade while the rest of your class is going to high school.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
that is.
here's another thing. This is a big deal. All right.
Go ahead, Murphy. Yeah.
First of all, talking like a project manager, are they then going to fund a person who is not 18 to go into school? Because there's like a fall off period where they don't fund people to be in school. Would a person who would graduate when they were 19 still be funded to go to school during the age when they are 19 and 20?
Well, they do if they were held back. They do if they were held back.
Well,
they're
okay,
funded.
maybe,
Yeah.
but what if they were held back twice?
Well, that's the whole thing.
When I was referencing the ripple effect, what I'm saying is when a kid matriculates to the next level, whether that is a high school junior, high school senior, are they ready for college? Or are we going to see this gap year and a half ripple effectively on our workforce eventually too?
Well, see, but there's the other thing too. Currently, if they are sort of held back, some kids that are much bigger it's inappropriate for them to be with younger kids,
Boy,
That's significant.
Well, and
significant,
actually
yeah.
there's a sports aspect to that too, but
Yeah.
go ahead, James.
But
yeah.
I don't like to agree with Joe here, but he brought up a good point. My mom, who's a retired 2nd grade teacher, and she was talking about how everyone's yelling, "Oh, the kids are behind. The kids are behind." She's like, "Who are they behind? Everyone's at the same level because, as Joe mentioned, everyone's going through the same thing. It's not like you have 50 kids who just didn't go to school and now they're behind everyone their peers. It's everyone is in the same situation. Yes, some people learn better on remote. Some people learn better in person. We learned that during this pandemic in all levels, from higher education down to grade school. Same with people who can work from home and some people who need to be in the office. This pandemic has shown where people excel and people flounder, but they're not behind. They're where their peers are because everyone is learning the same thing now.
But what if a
how do
parent
I-
did hold a kid back, the other kids advanced? What I'm saying is that have we thrown a stumbling block in front of that kid there overall?
That's a good point. Yes,
Yeah.
very much
Yeah,
so.
I think, yeah. All right, Renee, I know you were kind of holding on to a thought here. And then Nancy, if you want to, I'm putting a pecking order in here. So
Thank you, Ted.
go ahead, Renee.
I really believe, I read this article to be K-8. Is that right? K through 8?
Yeah, K3. Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm thinking this is probably more focused at even, K3, K4, right? The younger kids. Because I feel like kids 3rd, 4th, 5th through 8th, they've been on computers. They've taken their Chromebooks home. I feel like they probably adjusted a little easier than some of these younger kids. But I think every kid is different. To say they're falling behind, one might have and one might not have in the same exact class. I don't have any little kids at home, but my best friend is a substitute teacher. And so she had to do all sorts of young ages and in person and virtually. And there are some younger kids, 1st grade, 2nd grade, that rocked it. and are doing fine. And there are some kids that have some attention issues, or parents that maybe didn't give them the time that they should have because they aren't teachers. They're trying to keep their job. So there is a little of both. It's a balance in there. Now, I do think, was it James that said, or Joe that said, we're going to get halfway through this year and we're going to know, right? If, and then we need to adjust the curriculum. Now, the older grades, I think it'll be easier to get, you know, some after school tutoring or some A+ program kids to come in and help with some of those kids. But I truly think that you, as a parent, you know your kid excelled, your kid struggled. I think it should be an individual decision if you feel like your kiddo needs some extra help.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be so many in that game that, like Spence is saying, I don't know if they're going to be pigeonholed because so many of them are going to be in kind of the same boat. But I've also watched kids in a normal year that didn't get held back, that maybe should have, that struggle. So what do you want your kid to be pushed forward and maybe wasn't ready and then struggle in the 4th grade or the 5th grade when you could have helped them out in the 3rd grade?
One of the things,
it's so individualized. It's hard
one
to
of the
say.
things that surprised me was some of the people who I thought would be plugged into what their kids were doing were remarkably not. So, you know, I've just got the one kid, and so I can look over her shoulder and check her homework a lot. But there were some people who I really thought would be plugged in on what their kids were doing that were not. So
I know people like that too.
Yeah.
right.
So
And
about keeping their job, and like, I feel so bad, I didn't help with the homework, and
So-
you know.
so if we get through half a year and the schools go, ooh, I guess there is a lot of catch up we need to do. Not only are they behind all the time of the COVID, whatever behindness, they're behind on that 6 months or that half a school year, because can they actually learn long division when they didn't get the multiplication table? You know, where are they at? They're just like way behind. So there's probably going to need to split out some tracks and some, you know, I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
teachers, teach. Don't put everybody in a lineup. They're not all sheep, they're kids, and they need to be taught what they're being taught, and they need to be taught what the kids need to know, not what the testing requirements are. Back to you, James. I'm not impressed.
I wonder if there's any kind of data on how many parents have now chosen to homeschool.
Oh, that's
rise.
interesting.
Huge
Yeah.
rise.
That'll be another big thing going
Oh,
forward.
I'm
right?
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Nancy, did you have anything to chime in with? I know I kind of cut you off a little before, so I don't.
Well, you know, my whole thing, and even for me personally, when I was going through university, is one size doesn't fit all education. Everybody learns at a different pace, at a different level. And here in California, so I'm in a distinguished school district.
Oh.
People pay money to have a house here. And when my eldest was entering kindergarten, the thing back then was to hold them back a year.
Yeah.
I'm from Canada. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not holding my kids back. And they always said, well, you know, you kind of feel like Alex, his birthday's in July. Well, you know, he's a summer baby. Maybe you should hold him back. No, I'm not holding them back. And then what Murphy said, you know, in 5th grade, my youngest son, there was a boy in his class who was taller, physically more developed, had a full mustache.
Wow.
Because he had been kept back. And so, like you said, is, you know, they start maturing. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to look different than the rest of their classmates. So I don't feel there is a lot of stress. I'll tell you, if my ex-husband, he's a software engineer, he's the one that did the math and the science. I did the spelling and the English and everything else. I wouldn't have been able to survive. When they introduced core math, no idea how to do that. The teachers didn't even know how to do it. So for everybody, like from the teacher's side, you know, they're learning and it's tough for them too. And then you have on the kids' side, and then you have the parents' side. So we're all in this together. We're all struggling. And so I don't agree with the keeping back, unless, as you said, Tim, when you brought that, is that not unless you absolutely see that they're having a hard time. I
Mhm.
don't think you should keep the kids back.
Right. And I think the way that they have this procedure in place is that, the parent puts in the request, it goes to the teachers and the principal, and then the superintendent has to say yes to. That's a checks and balances that's not just some parent coming in and going, okay, keep my kid back. It's like, well, we
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
like based on our experience, they're okay. Like they'll be okay. And we could fix this in the next year. That's
And
my
then-
hope.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, my
here,
hope is to
what's
try to
happening,
fix it, For sure.
there's so much building going on, so many homes that they're packing in here in San Jose. The schools can't handle,
Mhm.
the number of now new attendees. So now the classes have gone up to 30 kids. How is a teacher supposed to be able to know individually of those students who maybe is having a harder time? I mean, when I was volunteering, when I took all that time off to raise the boys, I was volunteering at the kids' school, and all of a sudden now I'm kind of being thrown into a teacher type of position, helping the teacher out because she can't go through all of them in terms of testing, sitting there listening to them read to see, okay, can they read, are they stumbling on words, etc. So there,
Yeah.
I
I
think it
can't
goes
even
back to
imagine.
The parent, right? That's why I think the parents need to be so involved.
Yeah.
And if
Mhm.
you see your kids struggling at home when you're doing the math homework and you're doing the spelling words, then I think you should have some input in knowing what is the plan for the curriculum this school year, and do I think
Yeah.
my kid is going to be able to catch up because he struggled last year? And if not,
and then can you imagine if you have an IEP? So my son has an IEP,
those
and
kids,
so there are certain accommodations for like sitting up close, etc. He was staying up till after 1 a.m. So this year he was in grade 11. So he's going to be a senior in a couple weeks when school starts. I got to the point, I'm like, you are not to stay up till 1:30 in the morning. And then you have a 7:40 a.m. class. Do I need to say something? And then all the teachers, when we had the meeting, the group meeting for his IEP, his teachers, everyone said, he is actually at the top of his class. I don't think he needs an IEP. So I texted his speech therapist. She said, oh no, time out. Now she's telling me what she's been doing with him, helping him with the English assignments. She has to sort of like repeat things or position it so then he understands what's being asked. So if I hadn't gone to her, they would have had no clue the struggles that he was having.
Right,
So that is a real touchy subject, I guess. What do you do?
And here's another thing, Nancy, that is wonderful that you are totally engaged and you were going to check on how this was. I'm like, let me check on this. But there are a lot of people who would not feel culturally able to fight back that way.
Right.
Yeah. Who don't, feel like they could fight back and who'd know to do that because they're not as plugged into education as well.
Yeah.
You and
However,
I, and
if
that's
you've
normal.
watched some of these news articles where some of these parents are showing up to some of these Board of Education meetings, and I mean to tell you, absolutely lowering the boom on some of these school boards about what's being taught and how it's being taught, that tells me that parents are engaged if they're willing to come up there and put their reputations on the line, knowing that it's probably going to be on TV, but
yes, and some people can do that, and God bless them. Not every single person can fight for their kids the way that maybe they need to. So I mean, there's a range.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Joe is too cool for school.
And you gotta
Joe's playing hooky.
Joe was that kid
know.
in school you wanted to take his lunch money.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. the
I
kid-
got
what's
beat up
happening
a
in-
lot.
I don't know if it's all California or just Los Angeles, but Los Angeles County, but they are saying that schools have to provide the at-home option if you want your kid to
Yes.
stay at home.
Yep. And Max chose, he
No,
could have returned back to class this year, but he chose to stay here because he didn't want to have to wear a mask all day. He didn't want, the restrictions of social distancing. He said, I can just do my work here.
Well, and if you're
Well, and for the,
right through that and you are okay with it, and maybe your kid even did better,
Yeah.
why not? I mean,
right.
it's not-
Okay,
Well,
but
that's
going back
in
to my
Jersey
point-
though. Was that Spence?
I was going to say, going back to my point, just in saying that, okay, he chose and you chose that he did that from home. And while that definitely had, it sounds like a very positive effect, what did it do from a social
Well,
thing? I mean, that's what I'm saying is when I referenced that earlier about that social psychological thing there where these kids aren't with their peers. What effect
I-
is that? I think we're going to see
So-
studies on this for years to come.
But I do have a good example for you guys, and Tim, you'll love this because he's the big Disney fan.
Mm-hmm.
So he started last year. You can start up your own clubs at high school. He started a Disney club. So he has members. So during this time with COVID, every Friday, he would stream a movie on Zoom, a Disney movie, talk about it with the people that are in the club.
That's
So
awesome.
that's how they were being able to stay in touch and socialize.
And that's why-
With HDCP.
Yeah, well, when I go there, but that's the thing is, we as a society right now are trying to compare this generation coming up to what we went through. You know, like, oh, they're not hanging out, so they're not being social. I don't know about you guys, but I have many times have walked in from work. My girls are playing online games with their friends while video chatting with their friends. Then they also have sports, they have clubs, they have camps. There's plenty of social interactions that they're doing.
And developing new technology skills too,
Yes.
obviously.
So we got to stop as a society, stop comparing the generation to what we went through. Just like we are different than our parents, our kids are different than us. They're going through different ways. They're going to learn different than we did. We got to stop comparing. We can't just sit there and go, oh, they're not learning, division in 4th grade. They're learning in 5th. Well, you know
Right.
what? They're probably learning it on YouTube.
yeah.
No,
Sure.
good point,
And I
James.
agree.
Good
And I
point.
And I
Yeah.
agree with you, James, to a point is that, that's because my son has soccer and he has, now he's at camp. And let me tell you, that first day of camp, when he came home, he passed out in the car on the way home because he hasn't had a day like that in a year. Like it was the summer of last year when he
Vaccine.
was at camp. Yeah, I mean, but that's usually what happens after the first day of camp anyhow. It's just that there's so much excitement, so much that happens. They just crash when you get them in the car on the way home. But so yeah, I think with a little bit of the older kids, yes, James, I think they're still being social to a level. But my wife and I, we wanted our son back in the school. He's in kindergarten. He needs to be in with other kids. Like that's the social development. I agree with you, Spence, for that part. Like that's how he learns.
Yeah.
It's like, he was in school. He was hanging out with some of the 3rd graders, because they wanted to hang out with him, and because he's also as tall as one
He's
too.
so
But
cool.
he's a kindergartner, but he's as tall as a 3rd grader. But it's a whole nother story.
And then there's
But-
girls.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's the-
like,
Question is
I will
this.
say, I will
It's-
say it's nice
sorry.
having a kindergartner because he is a boy and that's all. He's not concerned about girls yet. He's totally oblivious to the fact that the girls in his class like him and he has no idea. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go home and play Hot Wheels and do all that stuff. It's like, okay. So
That
I'm
won't
enjoying
last
that part
long.
right now.
Well, I think
Yeah, I
our-
know.
So the
our
question is,
Captain has something to say.
Oh, wait, hang on. Joe. Yeah. Joe wants to
There-
chime in from the boat.
is there a sense where that our kids, and I say this, my kids are obviously grown up, but the kids in school, having this year of online is actually going to socialize them better to the new world and make them learn a skill that we don't see because we're external to it.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that they actually have learned something that will pay dividends down the road through this.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Because now, already our kids were not,
they were already better at technology than us. They were already social media, better at social media. They were better at interaction online. They were already better at communicating through other devices. So is there a sense where they're going to find a way to make this positive, right? And now, even though the year sucked, there might be something behind this that's going to actually put them ahead in society in the next few years.
Probably a good spin on
Yeah,
it.
good point.
Mhm.
Yep.
What we're still to see, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's good. And then also, I know I've predicted that in 4 years, between 3 to 4 years, the way that we do things in higher ed have to change because of what's happening right now. These kids, because there are some, and I think I could chime in a little bit for Kim on this one, is that she was saying her daughter is doing way better because she's online now. It's like, not that
And
she was
what
doing
I-
bad before, but it's the kids that are going to thrive with the online. Us as higher ed folk and as higher education providers, we need to be ready for that generation. And that generation's going to want the option of in person or online.
And you know what I liked, and Joe, you can chime in here, or any of you guys. I like the fact that the colleges and universities were not looking at SATs because of COVID and they weren't able to. And so I told my son, forget even thinking about studying for the SAT. If they're not wanting it, don't do it. Because I think that that's over the years where the pressure has gotten so bad, so brutal to these kids that you have to hire a tutor to help you study for the SATs like a year in advance. Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I have an opinion on this one.
Woo.
I
Really?
had a perfect SAT score. And I had a perfect SAT score in 1990. Okay. So what does that mean? That was when only like 14 people in the world got a perfect SAT score. Now it's like 500, which is like lame. So yeah, I want people to have to do the SAT. I suffered. I earned my way in. Now then people are going to say it's worthless.
Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, but I actually agree. I actually agree.
Congratulations. You got a perfect score. Ooh, we're proud of you.
Yeah.
Let's say I got an average score, and
on.
it was my extracurriculars that got me through. So
But I actually do agree with you. I do think that it has turned the wrong way and the importance of it switched. And also a lot has come out where we know that it was biased towards certain educational systems. And I think by eliminating it allows for college acceptance to be, and I'm saying this as a conservative too, so don't put this as any other way, but I definitely believe that by eliminating it, it allows for everything to be looked at equally.
Yeah.
Everything across the board, as opposed to, yes, the questions were written by people who lived in Orange County sitting on boats like me, right? And that is that's
Gilligan Joe.
That's right.
Okay, that's fine. Let's turn that on its side. So SATs was intake. Let people in. Let lots of people in to have a chance. But once they're in, there should be a standard of what the results of the education that they are receiving is. Like,
Wait, did you just say the word standards? He doesn't do standards.
Boy, that's going to bring that's going to be something to think
Of course,
about
the
too,
IT
isn't it?
guy picked up on that.
but yeah, there's what does that paper that they wrote look like? Is there a thesis sentence? Is there a structure? Is there organizing of ideas? I'm talking papers for one thing, but then also the results of math and science and
Yeah,
the
but
rest of it.
here's what I know. All right, anyone who's owned a business knows this, or managed people knows this. I don't care what your SAT scores were. I don't care what grades you had. I don't care what degree you came out with. If you can give good customer service and you can pay attention to the person who is actually paying the bill or they're in front of you or is your customer, that skill will get you anywhere in life. Period. And that's what we don't teach in our educational system. We don't teach, where is your money actually coming from? Right. And that's the thing is we all know how many times have we over tipped because somebody actually just paid attention to us. And those people who understand customer service. And that's what all of life, and you know this about me, all of life is sales. Everything is sales. And it doesn't matter what degree you got, what SAT score you got, anything. All of life is sales. And there's certain people who understand
hanging
that.
a video wall.
And it comes from,
I agree
there you
with
go.
you.
Thanks, Michael Scott, for everything is sales.
I tried explaining that to the preacher one time that he's in the sales business too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hey, selling God. Yeah.
That's right.
All of life is sales, period.
Okay, then let's break that down even further. Maybe all of life is communication.
All of life is sales. You're always selling yourself. You're always doing, now communication is part of it, but relationship building is part of it. Connection is part of it. Rapport is part of it. Understanding what you're selling is part of it. Understanding how it impacts others around you is part of it. There's a lot to it. All of life is sales, period.
Okay.
But I will say this, and I think this goes back to shows we've done in the past. There is a generational issue when it comes to communication as well. We're talking from the standpoint that when I was working at WVU, that I'm old school enough to where if I had a question or I needed to find something, I picked up the phone and called somebody. The younger generations are going to text or they're going to send an email. And that used to make me nuts, absolutely nuts. Just pick up the phone. An email or a text is going to take too much time for it to go through iterations of back and forth where I could have had the thing solved in 5 minutes in a conversation. Is this going to be the same thing that we see? But I do see your point, Joe, that kids have learned some new technology, are much more astute technologically than probably we were at the time, given the fact that technology wasn't near as advanced. But is there going to be any kind of a gap or any kind of a benefit or disadvantage because of it?
I mean, I get it's the time will tell, right?
Yeah.
But you also realize all the kids who went through it now are the ones who are leading society in 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. And they're all going to have the same experience. And they're all going to talk back about the time we went through COVID doing XYZ. Right. So we have to be sure we can't look at all of this based on our experience in life from 20, 30 years ago, where, how did you know where all the kids were on the blocks? Because that's where their bikes were parked, right?
Yeah.
Those days are gone. And now you take this new generation who went through this thing and really, you're making fun of my head? My ball?
I'm with you, Joe. I'm not going to let him get away with that.
Sun. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
Even though I'm sorry that I'm riding off away from the sunset.
You have to show off with your boat. We got to pick on you.
Hey, all you have to do is come out here and we can do an episode on the boat.
I'm not sure that that's true because not everybody had the same experience. I certainly didn't have an experience of knowing where everybody in the block was because of where their bikes were. I didn't have a bike and we didn't have a block, but being in Alaska, and
you had a sled.
You had a bear.
I had a woods that I went and
looked
at every day. But
you and me too.
Right. So everybody's experience of COVID, not everybody had the same COVID experience, even if they were all in 4th grade. I wonder, that would be interesting, to ask later, like, what was it like for you? Did you actually have Wi-Fi or not? What was it like for you? How were you? How did your parents deal with you? A person that was an only child would be different than a person who has 3 or 4 or 8 siblings.
Yeah.
Well,
What would
maybe
that
that's
be like?
the story they're
That's the
telling,
life.
right? Maybe that's the story they're telling in 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well,
You know, it's the same story I tell, that I was raised by a single mom, right? And this and that. So this becomes part of their story of how they had to deal with it, right?
I mean, those variables that you're talking about, Murphy, that's life every day. I mean, you think about, say, like we didn't have COVID, and you had students in New Jersey have 100% different experience than the students in California. Or let's even look at higher education. Students who go to a private school, like say, let's see, USC, who has a football team, you know, they get experience different than a student who goes to West Point or a student who goes to a religious school. Like, everyone's going to have different experience, and those experiences are going to shape our lives, but they're still going through a society same pressure. I mean, that what COVID did was almost like a pressure cooker, putting everyone into a environment that was kind of controlled. But again, what happened in New Jersey was different than California, different than New York, different than
yeah.
Alaska.
So what's the responsibilities of the schools then? I remember helping my daughter, 11 years old, understand what it was like. Hey, if you're at home and you have to take a test, it's really great at school because they make sure everybody's quiet. And if somebody is tapping their pencil while the test is happening, people go, stop it. And so we discussed how you're not allowed to have the cat in the room when you're trying to take a test because you need to concentrate. So, you know, just things like that. And that's my protected environment. But if that learning that, you know, you don't have a school that is a great place for learning is not available anymore. So they have to learn and reconstruct what they can do. And hopefully they've learned some things. But having this place that's supposed to be teaching you not do it anymore. They themselves didn't have the same tools. They had to kind of invent a whole bunch of new tools. And the outcome needs a little patching at this point.
Yeah, and I think and I agree that that's what we're going to find, you know, coming full circle. That's what we're going to find in September or August, depending on where you're at. You know, we're gonna find that those first couple months, it's going to be leveling the playing field again. You know, getting everybody back on the same page, taking the time to reacquaint to classroom behavior.
Yeah, but that sounds like what I was just saying a few minutes ago. Just get everybody together. They all went through the same, you know, storm. They're all in the same boat, and they have to go through it together, and they're all going to come through it together. Just remember, June is the end point, not August and September. June is the end point. Just get them to where they need to be.
Yeah.
Do you think this is?
Target and Old Navy and all of them, now that the kids are going back to school, ka-ching, ka-ching, all going to need new school outfits, supplies, all
Stimulate that economy, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you, in going back to some of that, do you think that that we're going to see a difference in the kids themselves when they get back into school?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Definitely a move.
They'll all still be bratty kids. Oh,
yeah.
There might be some that maybe have forgotten, like, just how to be in a classroom. That's possible. I think that might be something that's just there, but there's going to be a learning curve that, as for lack of a better term, that they're going to have to get back up to speed on how to be in a classroom. If, like, let's say for instance, like in New Jersey, there's no more virtual option anymore for the fall.
Ready.
So you have to. So for those kids that have been virtual for the entire year, there might be a little bit of a learning curve on that. But yeah.
You think it's going to affect standardized testing at some point?
Well, luckily that's not till later in the year. So I think by the time they get around to that, I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
My daughter is taking a summer school class at the junior high. She's going into 7th grade. And so she's taking a little STEM class, and there are other kids like for the half a day from like 8 to noon. And after about a week of this, she came home and she said, something strange happened today. We started talking to each other.
Yeah.
So it took that long to be in a room together to go, hey, I like videos about cats.
Mhm.
So it'll take a minute.
It might take
Yeah.
a
Not too long. It'll take a minute.
So
for everybody to get used to it.
it'll be interesting. We should probably have some, maybe we'll try to get some teachers on in like September, October, and see, like, just checking in, making sure you're okay. Like, just how's it been? So
That's the thing, is we need to
That's
give
great.
so much respect and credit
oh yeah.
to what.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine. Like, how do you
about
take
this.
yeah, how do you take kindergarten, that is like a very social grade, and make it virtual? Like, and I give all the credit to my son's teacher and the 2 aides in the class. They were troopers and they did awesome. And I don't think anyone in, well, there might, I mean, I don't know, but as far as I see, all the kids did great this year. So
Well, the other thing is we're all creatures of habit. Do you think that, now that we have adjusted to a blended type of curriculum, that going back to the classroom, are we going to have to reassess our expectations
I
to
think
what that learning process is?
I think with the way you can kind of look at it is look at going back to the office. Just like the work from home, school's kind of the same way. You're going to have students, just like employees, who are going to excel and want to be in the location, either the office building or a school classroom. You're going to have other employees or students who, I do better remotely. I get distracted when there are people next to me. I mean, that whole distraction thing that Murphy's talking about is the same thing. You have a kid going in class, they're going to want to talk to their friends. So they may not be as fully attentive as they would if they're at home and they had no distraction. So again, I know we keep talking about standardized tests, and the background I have up, I think, kind of sums up my feeling of standardized tests is, where the guys say, okay, everyone has to take the same exam, climb that tree. And you got a monkey, a penguin, an elephant, a goat, and a fish, and a seal. That test is not fair for everybody. And that's what standardized tests are. Like, everyone's different. We're all different variables. We're all learning. I mean, I know Joe bragged not only about his boat, but his perfect score. Tim saying he got pretty good on SATs. I did horrible on my SATs. I am a horrible test taker. I actually had a teacher in school do that. Like, we took a test. I actually went for the test, handed it in. She looked at it, and then without me realizing it, she asked me the same exact questions that were on the test. I got them all right verbally. I got them all wrong on the test.
Yeah.
I
Test
was
anxiety.
horrible
I
test.
kids like that.
Yeah, my eldest is like that, test anxiety, and it was a teacher who pointed it out to me in elementary school. She said, I know he knows the stuff from his homework and all of that. Exactly what you said, James. I like your comment. That's good.
All right. Well, so yeah, I think we've thoroughly put that to bed, as it were. So, or we schooled everybody on it.
But I'm ting.
But if we're really gonna leave a mark, we should go to the firing range now. So
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
By the way, someone on a dock over here just went pew pew after they heard you. So I don't know.
It's a West Coast listener. They know.
We're trendsetters.
We're famous. Yeah, we're famous.
You gotta admit, that's a beautiful picture, though. Somebody's except that you can't see me, which is probably what makes it a beautiful picture. So that's a beautiful.
You said it,
photo.
not me. So
Oh, shoot. I
Um,
did it, but that you were drinking again.
Joe's always drinking.
he's having himself a cocktail while he's out on the boat. It's okay. So yeah, so in this week's firing range, the CDC has made a name for themselves, and not for their usual COVID related discussions as far as what they think you should do to prevent transmission and things like that. They have now left a mark on social media, as the article from HuffPost
In more ways than one.
says. Yes. And this actually also, this was last Thursday, when it shared a very memorable gift to urge good hygiene in swimming pools. Don't let your kids swim if sick with diarrhea. One person with diarrhea can contaminate the entire pool, the tweet says. Learn more ways to keep you and those you care about healthy. And it says, the gift says, don't leave your mark at the pool this summer. And there's some kids swimming in the pool. There's a dad at the bottom of the slide. And then there's a girl coming down the slide with a trail of brown coming out behind her. Did the CDC go too far? What do we think? I'm gonna leave
All
it
I
open
could think
for
of
total-
when you made me read that is I could only think about the Tootsie Roll in the pool of Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Bill Murray. You know, gosh. Yeah, they went too far.
Well, I mean, I will say that it has really, they've gotten a lot of
Crap about it.
responses to it. Well, I'm sure somebody gave him the stink eye about it too. So,
for sure.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
I don't
Um,
know. Sometimes it's just kind of crazy to me that things that are such common sense have to be spelled out.
by the
like-
CDC, like they don't
Yep.
have enough on their plate right now.
Right, exactly. Like if your kid has diarrhea, do you really need to be told why they shouldn't be at the local pool? Like,
They shouldn't
Mhm.
leave the home.
Yeah.
right.
You know, where's the parental guidance in this?
I know, exactly.
Renee, you just say that the CDC even has common sense.
Well, that's why I was using my quote
The
marks
air quotes.
here. Air quotes, yeah. I don't know. They're trying to get some funny publicity because they've had such bad, I don't know what's going on. But
I don't know. But as of this recording, there've been 9.8 thousand retweets on this. And
We're easily entertained.
Yes, 2.4 thousand replies to it. People telling how many times they've had to close the pool because of that sort of stuff, or somebody
Oh my
apparently wants to
God.
defund the CDC.
Where do we sign up for that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
So-
I don't know about going too far.
I-
I just,
I mean, I don't think you needed this GIF. Oh, and that's another thing we could talk about. I don't think we need this GIF it didn't need to have that. Like, it could have been just fine with the girl coming down the slide. We didn't need the
yeah.
chaser.
How I wish Kim Frank was on this right
Oh,
now
I
for this
know,
one.
I know. This would be so fun.
What we didn't need was you calling it a GIF and not a GIF.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, so what is it? It's a graphical
Gift.
Okay. By the way, the guy who created it said it's called GIF. So
It's a
the
GIF.
person who created it said GIF.
Okay.
I always thought it was GIF.
I called it GIF. I mean, that's the way I always heard it.
Jif is the peanut butter. Like, it's
Well, that's true.
Right.
And
Okay.
choosing
And
moms
Jiffy's a
choose.
J. Jiffy's a J. Not
That's
a
true.
Good
That
good
is true.
graphics interchange
He
format.
called it GIF.
Yeah.
He said it's GIF, and you got to go by the creator because I believe in intellectual property rights.
No, that's true. No, all right.
You
that's
spell Jeffrey with a G, right?
There
And
you
giraffe.
go.
Yeah,
But I'm sorry,
GEOF.
he gave it to the world and we get to call it the way we call
Right.
it. Too late.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, I just used it. I always just thought the G for graphics was GIF.
Yeah, GIF. Yeah, but you can't say it's a gift because it's not that. So you
It's a
can't put the T on the end.
Do you give Christmas
Well-
gifts?
Pooping in the pool is definitely a gift.
Oh,
Okay,
it-
my
Can't wait
question.
for
Oh, boy.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I
Hold
love
on.
my,
All
I
right,
love my
James.
gifts.
Wait a minute. Are we
My-
firing
Oh,
range or are we
wait,
just free
James.
range?
James
Who
has a
are the
question.
team captains? Who are the team captains and what are we arguing?
Real
Oh, no,
quick.
I was just leaving this free for all at this point.
Free
So.
Yeah.
So Joe, that icon that is behind Renee, what is that?
That's a piece of poop.
No, the guy who created it was ice cream, chocolate ice cream.
Oh my
All right,
gosh,
We
you're
all use
kidding
it
me.
as poop.
You're kidding me.
No, the
No.
guy who created it made it chocolate ice cream,
Some things
Yep.
you cannot unsee now.
and
You just
that's
cannot.
the whole same battle with GIF and GIF.
Well, it's the same thing with the praise hands that all of us use is actually something else. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't intended to be, and the prayer wasn't
Mhm.
actually intended to be prayer. It was like closed hands or something like that.
So,
Namaste.
so what is it really? Is it the creator of it get to decide, or society? Like, I forget who I was listening. I think a podcast. I'm trying to think which one it was. Might have been the Super Friends, but they were talking that there were one school. They don't put sidewalks in until a year after the building's built, so they see the path the
Mhm.
students can take instead of telling you because
Do you know
Brilliant.
why though? Do you know why that happens? And it's
students are going
not-
to make their
no, no,
own
no.
path.
Let me tell you why that happens. Because you don't hire an architect good enough to understand how people are actually going to walk.
Oh,
People are going to do whatever
Yeah,
they
but
want.
that
Sorry.
saves-
You
but
hire
that
a
Guy, he
good
got
saves you-
100% on his SAT.
They're going to know
Yeah.
day one what's going to happen when they look at
But
your site.
waiting 1 year saves you $150,000 of hiring an architect. So
I've met
No, it
architects.
made you
They're
hire an
insane.
architect twice is what it did. It made you hire one to do the original and it made you bring them back
Yeah.
to,
yeah, but you could use a
Second
cheaper
part.
one and say, "This is just what I want. Do this."
Follow the way.
well,
they
it's
want
higher
it.
ed. Of course we use the cheaper one.
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
just
that's
saying.
what actually we
Hey,
did that. I will say we did do that at Rutgers. There was a building that was between my building and the library, which was like the next building over. It was a temporary building that lasted 12 years. So they eventually tore it down, and they didn't put a sidewalk in right away because they wanted to see what the students were going to do. And they saw which way they were walking across the grass, and then they laid the concrete down and did the sidewalk. And it was about 6 months later that they did it. So
Brilliant.
Interesting.
Joe hit a
Well, I
boot.
guess
Joe,
anybody in a wheelchair just got extra work.
He's
There's
ordering.
no one in the back boat.
He's ordering a
What's
cocktail.
in the back
Not
boat?
another friend.
yeah, apparently he's talking to his neighbors.
Yeah.
Joe hit it.
Beep beep.
Yeah,
get
they're
out the
firing
road.
range. We need that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, fire range.
hey.
Here's your pew pew.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
How do you hit a buoy? You hit a
Yeah,
buoy by looking at the screen, not looking at the water.
Yeah.
Still, they're
Distracted driving.
big and they're either green or red normally.
They're white here until the sun goes down, then they light up.
Oh, are they the
Uh,
no wake ones?
But this is look. This is Orange County. It's not a real lake. It's
No,
called.
are they the no wake?
It's called bring a bulldozer in and charge people millions of dollars to pretend they live on a real lake,
Yeah.
and then throw the fish in that I, for some reason, can't catch, but everybody else can.
What would you do with it if you caught it?
You have to throw it back.
Yeah, catch and release.
Catch and release. Yep.
Oh,
No, it
Renee.
is not
When they're
catch and
around you, Joe, when the
No,
fish
no.
are around you, they're delighted with life. They're not trying to leap on the hook like the other people with whom they feel
They
burdens
have
of
a
despair.
desire to die. And by
Yeah,
the way,
with you,
get
you
that
bring
straight.
the light. They're like, no, we want to stay in the water. We want to enjoy our life. And so they don't throw themselves on the hook.
No,
So
I stand by the belief that they only stock the lake on the days I don't fish. And then the days I fish, they unstock the lake.
that could be.
And then they
So
restock the lake.
they over.
And
so
by the way,
they-
it is not catch and release. It is catch, take a picture for social media, and then release.
then release.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
You
you
gotta
know.
document
Well,
that.
Doesn't
it happened.
happen unless you have
And when
pictures.
when the
Right.
fishes smile for the selfie, you know they've done this before.
All right.
Wait,
Well, Renee.
Wait, all right,
Renee
hold on. Renee has the proof. So Renee,
Yep.
what's the answer?
Go ahead, Renee.
I'm not gonna say.
Oh,
That's
Jif,
wrong.
not Jif. Oh, wow.
Well, so,
So
it's
who was
pronounced-
right? Who was right in this?
No. Well, here's
Whoa,
the
whoa.
thing.
Don't you have a disconnect button, Tim? I mean, what kind of show are
Yeah,
we?
but here, whoa, but hold on.
No, mute.
Pronounce,
Renee,
it says,
mute.
it says
He
it-
does
it's-
have a.
according
he
to
has,
this, it says it's pronounced GIF, not GIF. So I will give you that. Just like the peanut butter. The Oxford English Dictionary, though, accepts both pronunciations.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, because the British don't know what the hell they're doing.
Because here in America, we say car and they say ka. So we can pronounce things differently in different places.
so it's I can't say so I could say GIF here in the United States,
Uh-huh.
and when I go over to the UK, I could then also say
Because they
GIF.
don't know how to pronounce a J over there.
Hold on. Where did this information come from? Is this just a random person on the
according
internet?
Oxford Dictionary.
Actually,
No. The
First
one that
read.
Renee posted. Who
Time
is
dot
the
com.
person?
Yeah.
Where's your source? We all are in higher education.
It is,
Come on, we
yeah.
gotta live and die by our
Cite it.
source.
Time.
Where's the site?
Time.com.
What is it?
Time
Time.
magazine.
Time.
Well, we
Oh,
all
yeah,
are,
'cause, you know,
we all
Time
possess
magazine's always right.
we all possess special gifs in life, right?
So Tim, did anybody actually win the fire?
We
ring?
all
won.
won.
We
We
all
all
won.
won. And actually, did we
We-
all
I
win
actually think
talking
we all
about
lost.
diarrhea?
Joe,
we
I
all-
think you lost because you hit the buoy twice.
Yeah.
2 points.
Joe,
And the same one too. Like
Wow.
literally, I hit
Wow.
the same.
you know what would make this perfect is if all of a sudden the California DNR shows up behind lights and siren. Pull over, buddy.
What does
You could-
DNR
It's a,
mean to you?
trust me, it's a private lake. They don't care because they know we all have insurance.
Department of Natural Resources. Oh, DNR to me means do not resuscitate. I'm like, what?
Department of Natural Resources. here.
Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, this is
So
not
you guys
natural.
have
This is Orange
some
County.
water
It's
that
not
runs
natural.
between a couple of yards. Is it a creek or a creek?
Rick,
There's a creek.
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 Crick, Crick.
Creek.
A crick? I've never heard that in my life.
Are you serious?
Really?
Creek.
Yeah.
I've heard it. I don't use it.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Crick.
I got a crick right beside the house here.
And
Okay.
a creek
see,
down
yeah.
yonder.
Oh, I think
Goes
when
down
I
to the
hear
lake.
You say crick, I'm waiting for you to say cricket. Like I
Cricket.
didn't have enough air.
That's cricket.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think we're gonna start to wrap this up before
my
Joe hits another buoy or something.
I want to see Joe get popped by the cops.
We do have lake police, by the
Do
way,
you?
but we pay their salary. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
just
It's a
saying.
false sense of security.
I sense you see what my background is. It's like Mayberry.
That's
All
funny.
right. Well, Joe, thank you for joining us as a guest
Yes.
tonight. And gracing us with your presence tonight.
Mm.
Just
Taking us
all
on
right.
the ride.
You know what? Because you haven't been here in so long, tell the folks that have chimed in to listen to us tonight where they can find you, Joe.
You can find me at the Producing Worship book, right? Which is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all your favorite book sellers. So that, and if on Twitter, it's at Prod Worship. There you go. Or producingworship.com.
You could also find him at
I guess
Higher
you
Ed
could give
EV.
me a Josiah way too, but that's okay.
That too, yes. And at Higher Ed EV, at HETMA, at all those places.
Well, we have a HETMA board now, so it's not just HETMA.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Got a
Yes,
board
we
of
have
education?
yeah, and actually there are 3 of us on this call right now. So yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
We are amongst the elite.
Yes.
So now I
Yes,
just
well,
promote,
now you just okay. All right. Well,
which
I will
happens
say,
to be
Joe,
used by 36 different college courses that I know of.
wow, nice.
Side-
So who wants to be 37?
You thought that was a buoy that you hit, Joe. You see my background?
You hit grandma. You hit grandma.
Oh,
How
That
did
was
I
not a
not do
buoy.
grandma tonight?
We had
We
talked
almost
about
went in
grandma in a while.
entire episode without me killing grandma.
Grandma got ran over by Joe Wasteboat.
By the way, people who listen to this and don't watch it, they're
Yeah,
gonna really wonder what the heck is going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even
So, yeah.
watching it, I don't
I
know
think
what's going
You're
on.
gonna get your highest YouTube tip hits ever.
oh boy.
Yeah, I hope
Right-
so.
right now.
So
Just
yeah,
for-
make sure you visit higheredav.com and find the AV life and go find the YouTube video and go ahead and watch it. And listen in. Always a good time. So
Can I
thank you,
break
Joe.
some Higher Ed AV news tonight. Can I break some Higher Ed AV news?
Oh yeah, let's go ahead.
Breaking news.
Because I've had I'm drinking cactus coolers. If you haven't had a cactus cooler,
Oh.
it is actually only 4. It's only 4 liquors, or 4, not liquors, but it's 4
Liqueurs.
ingredients. 2 of which are liquors,
Oh, okay.
all equal parts.
So he's already going double.
I go, here we go. Here we go.
It is Mandarin vodka, peach schnapps, Red Bull, and orange juice, all in equal
Oh,
parts.
geez.
Oh
Mandarin
my gosh.
vodka. See, we're doing a bartending class tonight.
There
So
you go. Education, baby. Education.
Mandarin vodka, peach schnapps, Red Bull, and orange juice, all in equal parts. Let me re-say that one more time for those who didn't have time to
To
pull
write
their
it down.
phones out and open up notes. So it is Mandarin vodka, peach schnapps, Red Bull, and orange juice, all in equal parts. Okay, now that you have your notes open, let me tell you that it's Mandarin vodka, peach schnapps, Red Bull, orange juice, all in equal parts. That is called a cactus cooler. It's a fantastic drink. Enjoy your summer. You'll be addicted to it. And I have no idea what we were talking about before that.
That's
We
right.
were talking about your
Breaking
book
news in higher
and,
ed.
and breaking news in higher ed.
Breaking news in higher ed. I know. I was actually trying to avoid it because I probably shouldn't break it now, but I will break it now. We have a brand new setup coming in September that is going to change the entire, should we say, AV media, higher ed / world. We're taking August off, not the podcast. Podcast still
No, no.
coming. The website is taking August off to reload something that y'all have never seen before. We spent the last year taking user feedback, doing a little bit of what works, what doesn't work. And we're excited about this. Is that breaking news or is that just a teaser? I think it's more of a
It's
teaser.
more of a
teaser.
teaser, yeah.
It's more of a teaser, but
So don't worry, you're good.
the breaking news is that
Foreshadowing.
all interested sponsors can reach out to @JosiahWay or
There we go.
contact @higheredav.com because we going to change the higher ed world. That's it. There you go.
Grab your sponsorships now.
Grab them now while they're cheap.
Cheaper.
Okay, so what is the sponsors? You gotta
What do you
elaborate
mean?
on that.
How
For
many?
manufacturers, what are they getting for sponsors?
Oh yeah, okay. Everything is sales. Go for it,
That's
Jeff.
good. You know what? I appreciate that, Nancy from Williams AV. So let me. So here's the thing about the higher ed community. A lot of things that people don't understand from outside the higher ed AV community. We have a very, very tight network behind the scenes. A very tight network. James is actually a huge part of that with his Slack channel. Higher Ed AV is part of that. And getting into that community and being a trusted resource, and with HETMA, most people don't realize how we talk. Here's the difference between the normal commercial integration. Your normal customer does not talk to the customer next door. If you're in commercial integration and you get a job at some random place, you're going to come in, you're going to do it, you get a bar job and you do that bar job. But the bar guy doesn't necessarily talk to the other bar guy because they're competitors. But in higher ed, we're not competitors, we're colleagues.
Mhm.
So we talk, and we talk about the positives and the negatives. And the more time that I have seen on both James's Slack channel and the HETMA Slack channel about, I need XYZ, and you have people go, this is what worked for me, this is what had done, this is, and I will kid you not, and I will give a shout out to Crestron. I will give a shout out right now to Sennheiser and Audinate and Hudley and Panasonic, who have all come to the table, who have gotten a ton of business because people on the back end channel said, so Joe, I know they sponsor you, but is it just a check or do you actually believe in it? And I said, well, I don't believe in it. We buy it, we install it, we do this, and this is why we do it. And here's people who have come to, and then it's other people who come on the channel and give their case studies that you've never seen printed, but you see it over and over and over again. And that's the value.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And we've preached it over and over again that higher ed is a special group of people in many ways, but you know, we are always the ones that are thinking of that next step of what any product could possibly do. So if you are looking to get more out of your product, or you're trying to get to your product to the right hands, higher ed's the place to be for that.
Yep.
So yeah. So as Joe said, if you're looking to sponsor higheredav.com, reach out to, what was it? contact@higheredav.com. Joe?
Yeah. Or just
Okay.
anything. Actually put anything in front of @higheredav.com and it still comes to me.
Oh, well, there you
There
go.
I got the catch-all. We're all good.
And I was just saying, if you need the email address, you can always do @the AV Life Pod. We'll get you in the right direction. You know, any of us we know how to direct you. Don't worry about it. So, all right. Well, on that note, we will start to sign off. Thanks to all the crew. Glad to have most of everybody back tonight. So we're one of these days we'll get everybody back together again, and it'll be great. It'll be glorious. Yeah, so until our next adventure.
Bye.